waifu is an English term used by mostly Western otaku to describe their favorite female manga or anime characters, with the male equivalent being a husbando. This term was first introduced in the early 2000s by the anime Azumanga Daioh and has stuck as part of the Western weeaboo jargon to this day.
My waifu.
While waifus are most prevalent in anime and manga, they can also come from video games, American cartoons, or basically any other form of media. That means that just about anything can be a waifu. It could be a high school girl, a frog, a penguin, or a 500-year-old half-vampire lolly. Sure, the idea of a waifu is largely a meme, as most people use it sarcastically or simply as shorthand to denote a certain character as his or her favorite. This means that just because you refer to a character as a waifu, it does not necessarily mean you actually want to marry them. However, the fact of the matter is that for some people, they legitimately want to do so. This begs the question, why? What is so appealing about the idea of having a waifu in the first place? All jokes about how that's not your waifu, that's a cartoon, or you can't be attracted to a drawing aside, I'd like to seriously consider what makes the idea of a waifu hold so much gravity as to dissuade people from actually seeking out real women. Okay, let me level with you here. The criticism that people like anime characters because they have big boobs is not completely unfounded. Yes, anime characters tend to be drawn with idealized body physiques, which is meant to convey sex appeal. After all, who would want to watch a bunch of ugly characters in what is essentially an escapist medium? Another large appeal of character design in anime is that good designs convey very easily understood traits about that character. Take Tomoko from Watamote, for example. First and most prominently apparent is the fact that there is a very noticeable bag underneath her one unobstructed eye. The fact that she has hair covering one of her eyes conveys the idea that she's an unkempt person without much regard for, at the very least, hair maintenance, giving her an air of a social outcast and an introvert. Her dark circles under her eyes convey the idea that she is very tired and anxious, further cementing the idea that she is not socially adept. Now that isn't to say that such details are not deducible from real people, but the main distinction between that hypothetical meeting and a hypothetical encounter with Tomoko is that there's a layer of abstraction for what is being conveyed via the appearance versus what is actually being presented. Tomoko, after all, is still largely portrayed in a manner that is meant to be cute. Her design isn't ugly or very hard on the eyes in any way. Her physique, while not very pronounced in any way, is largely inoffensive to the eye, and her face shows no sign of acne or pimples. While her hair is drawn in a way to convey the idea that in-universe it is shaggy, to us as the viewer, it only serves as a shorthand for the idea of having shaggy hair. In actuality, her hair isn't really that messy at all. After all design technically is shorthand for an idea of a person. That's what I mean by a layer of abstraction. The thing is that if you were to meet a person with matted hair and baggy eyes, your first reaction to their appearance would not be, oh, look at that cute girl. Continuing with the idea that a character design is just a bundle of indicators for physical traits, the actual personalities of characters can also be said to be a bundle of character traits that fuse in order to communicate the idea of an actual person's personality. However, there once again is a layer of abstraction between personalities of real people and those of characters. Characters, in essence, are just bundles of character traits meant to convey the idea of a certain kind of personality, while real people tend to be more unpredictable in their actions. In other words, characters are meant to remain in character, while real people are much harder to be pinned down into strict sets of character traits. Take Nanami Aoyama, for instance, from Sakura So no Pet no Kanajo. Her character is that she is ridiculously hardworking and also a type 2 tsundere. The fact that I'm able to summarize her character in one sentence just goes to show how narrow the scope of the actions of characters can be. While watching Sakura So, the viewer never has to question whether or not Nanami will work hard, because of course she will, or else it'd be out of character. That is not to say that I think Nanami is a bad character, but the truth is that real people do not abide this strictly to their TV tropes listing. However, the appeal of these decidedly simpler characters is the ability to compartmentalize. Now I know that that word generally has a negative connotation to it, but the thing is that the ability to recognize traits within a person makes it easier to grow attached to them, especially when you know that they will never deviate from those traits by a lot. By recognizing that Nanami is a hard worker, people that are attracted to the idea of hardworking people can easily identify with and grow attached to her. With real people, such an attachment is much harder. Just because someone is hardworking when you meet them does not mean their work ethic is ironclad. This easy categorization of character traits has also led to the emergence of certain tropes that are basically default presets of character archetypes. You got your tsundere, your yandere, dere, kudere, chinibyo, moe girl, goth lolly, ojo, genki, and gyaru, just to list a few, and these easy to identify personality presets allow the viewer to identify which characters that they like with even more ease. These character types are also often used in conjunction with their designs to communicate these aspects even more blatantly. To take it even farther in the discussion of categorical attraction to certain character traits, a further layer of abstraction is needed in order to bypass the potential negative impacts of those character traits being attached to a person. To continue with the example of Nanami Aoyama, if you as the viewer admired her for her work ethic because it stands in stark contrast to your utter laziness, hypothetically of course, the fact that she is not a real person actually works to your benefit. If you were to actually meet her in real life, your lack of work ethic would have probably led her to look down upon you for your lack thereof. That isn't even to speak of the more general idea that cartoon characters do not need attention, money, or even food to maintain amiability. Real people have needs. If you have a girlfriend, but you never talk to her, it is very likely that she will either get annoyed with your lack of communication with her, or a conversation between you two will simply stop, resulting in the termination of the relationship. You can leave a waifu on pause on your monitor for an entire year and pick up right where you had left off, that is assuming that you had somehow established an official relationship with her, without having to worry about any repercussions at all. So basically, the reason why people would forgo real human connection for companionship with a two-dimensional drawing is that it's easier. It's easier to see just from a glance what a character is about, and to still have that be attached to a physically appealing body. It is easier to understand what a character is likely to do without real fear of deviation. It is easier to maintain as a relationship. And all of this should not come as any surprise. The main type of person that would watch anime enough to formulate his or own waifu is someone that is most likely introverted and somewhat socially inept. So really, the appeal of waifu is similar to the appeal of escapism. It's a way to cope with a hardship, loneliness, or life by taking on a simplified version of it. Or, to put it in even more concise terms, waifuism is escapism. Hey, what's through it with me, and have a nice day.